So I've been wanting to take my audio to the next level. And one of the things that I've really been wanting to do for a number of months now is to get away from using software to filter and scrub and compress my audio. I don't like having to use like the compressor and the noise gate and the noise suppression in things like OBS, which I often use to record my videos and to do all of my live streams, or, digital audio workstations, things like Audacity, for example, which is a fantastic program, but it's a lot of work to edit your audio and clean up your audio. So I really wanted to get into the hardware side of things to where, we're using hardware compressors and equalizers and mixing boards. That way, I don't have to spend so much time fiddling with software. So I made some rather large purchases in the last few days. I recently purchased a brand new audio server rack and equipped it with a preamp, a compressor, an equalizer, and a mixing board. So let's discuss. So let's discuss the equipment. You can see some of the equipment running behind me, although my head and microphone is in the way, but I'm going to show you some better pictures of this rack here in a minute. That's right, I'm going to show you my rack here in a minute. But first, let me show you exactly the products that I purchased. So I purchased these a few days ago from Amazon. I actually just got them delivered last night. Just hooked it up. I didn't spend really more than about 30 minutes playing with what you see just yet. So I barely know anything about these products. I haven't really delved deep into them yet, and I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to serious audio equipment. I'm very much a noob to this stuff. If I didn't do my YouTube channel, I wouldn't know anything about audio or video on Linux, and that's the truth. But I knew I wanted to get into, again, hardware compressors and hardware equalizers and things like that. So the first thing I needed, of course, was some kind of server rack. I needed a typical audio server rack, and I bought the StarTech 12U open frame network rack. It's a standard 19-inch wide rack for your audio equipment, and it's rather cheap. I was happy with the price, $45, and it's sturdy. I mean, super sturdy. StarTech offers higher end racks that are similar that they call heavy duty racks. You don't need to buy the heavy duty racks though. I'm telling you, this thing is made of really thick metal. I mean, it is solid. I'm very happy. I can't recommend this particular rack enough. The next thing I purchased was a preamp. Now, you need a preamp for your XLR mics. Well, I say you need a preamp. Many USB interfaces and many USB mixing boards have built-in preamps, so you don't necessarily need a preamp, but I wanted a standalone preamp. One of the ones that often comes up on audio sites and YouTube videos, and it seems to be a pretty popular brand, is the Nady PRA8. That is an 8 microphone preamp, so it's got 8 plugs for mics, more than enough inputs. And then I wanted a compressor. And what I found was the very popular DBX 166XS, which is a professional audio compressor, limiter, and gate. So it has both compression, a limiter, and a gate on it. And this thing was not cheap. $239.95 was what I paid, or what the current price is on Amazon. And to be honest, it's probably worth it. I mean, this is really what I was buying the rack mainly for anyway, was compression and limiter and gate. Anyway, I wanted to get away from having to do that kind of stuff with software. So DBX is a very popular brand, so that's what I went with. And I needed an equalizer. Once again, I stuck with the DBX brand. I bought their DBX 231S dual channel 31 band equalizer. Now, this was $189. Again, not cheap, but it is what it is. Very popular brand. I'm sure it's very high end. 31 bands. I probably don't need 31 bands. Probably could have got a cheaper, like 15 band equalizer, but I went with the DBX 231S. Then I also bought the Furman M8X2 power conditioner. Basically, a power conditioner. It's on the back of it. There's about 8 plugs. So this is basically like your surge protector. It's what I can plug all the rest of the audio equipment into the one Furman power conditioner. And with this switch, I can turn everything on or off. So that's a really neat aspect. Obviously, also having the power conditioner and having everything in its own separate plug in the power conditioner should help reduce the potential for any kind of buzz or any kind of weird feedback in your audio. And the last thing I went with was I bought a Mackie Pro FX 12V2. That's a very popular 12-channel mixing board. It's a mixer, a USB mixer, so it interfaces with your computer through USB. Not a cheap mixer, $279, but it's a pretty popular brand. Actually, it's a very popular brand of mixer. Did I really need the mixer? Probably not. That's probably the one piece of equipment on here that I could have done without, because with the compressor and the limiter and the gate and the EQ and the preamp, did I really need a mixing board? No, I could have actually just stuck with my old Scarlett 2i2 USB interface and been just fine. I'm not going to be using many of the features on the mixing board, actually, because a lot of the features on the mixing board are taken care of with some of the other equipment on this rack. But you know what? I did like the fact that it was a 12-channel mixer. It leaves me some opportunities to grow. With much of this equipment is quite a bit overkill for what I'm currently doing. But again, I wanted the opportunity to grow, maybe add more mics, have more inputs and outputs, and even various devices connected to all this. So again, I went a little overboard on this. All in all, the rack and all the equipment cost me right at $999. That was before tax and before shipping. So I basically paid a $1,000 bill for what's sitting on this desk. Is it worth it? Is it worth that to not have to fool with software compression and software EQ? I don't know, but I can tell you, having spent almost no time with this equipment, and I mean no time, I don't know anything about the settings. I played with it a little bit. I kind of like what I'm hearing and some of the testing I've done with it. I'm sure I'm going to fine tune this and get a much better sound than I'm currently getting. You guys in the comments, you have suggestions, you know more about this kind of equipment than me. Please leave some suggestions. So what you're seeing now is a video shot from my phone, and you can see the StarTech mounts and the Pro FX mixing board. There's the Furman power conditioner, the Natty preamp, and then the DBX equipment, the compressor, limiter, gate, and the EQ at the bottom, the 31-band EQ. And so there you go. This is just a quick show and tell here. I've barely played with this equipment. Got it late last night. It took me about an hour to put the rack and screw everything in and then fool with the cables. And then again, I don't know anything about this equipment. For example, which should come first in the connections? Should the compressor feed into the equalizer, or should the equalizer feed into the compressor? Which order should you go in? Well, when I scour the internet, people tell you different things. I guess it depends on who you are and the situation. By the way, my connections, for those that are going to ask, I went preamp into the compressor, into the equalizer, into the mixer. So that's the order I went in. Of course, I may end up playing with it and changing it around. I don't know as far as the settings, some of the basic settings. I mean, I know typical, like radio typically does like a 4-to-1 ratio on the compression. That's kind of what I went with. The EQ, I have it mostly flat in the middle, and then at the various edges, I've got it raised a little bit, kind of standard stuff, but I haven't played with a lot of the settings. There's many knobs on this equipment back here. I don't even know what they do. I've got to do some research, right? I probably need to spend some time reading the instruction manuals and then just familiarizing myself with how this kind of audio equipment works. Again, I'm pretty much a noob at this. I'm talking about serious noob. So, but I think this is going to be fun. I can't wait. I hope you guys are enjoying what you're seeing already out of this equipment as far as the audio quality. Again, I want to try to take things seriously with this channel. I want to improve my audio game. I want to up my game a little bit. And plus, you guys that help support me over on Patreon, and you guys that help support me through PayPal, and you guys that just watch the videos, right? Watch, the the ads impressions on my videos. You know, I do make a little money off of this, and I want to put that money back into the channel, you know, to help me grow. So I'm constantly, you know, I recently bought this $3,000 computer to help the channel. I bought, you know, $1,000 worth of audio equipment just this week. Of course, before that, bought all the microphones, the mic stands. I probably put 7 or 8 grand in the channel, and I see that really as an investment, right? This is not like a short-term kind of hobby. I see myself doing this long-term. Of course, before I go, I do need to thank a few special people, and I'm talking about the people that make all of this possible. This show was made possible by Ansem, First Chris, Second Chris, Dylan, George, Mitchell, Natek, Philip, Rob, Robert, Sam, and Willie. They are the producers of the show, my highest tiered patrons over on Patreon. Without these guys, this show wouldn't be possible. This equipment wouldn't be possible. I also want to thank each and every one of those ladies and gentlemen, those names you see on the screen that help support my work over on Patreon. Again, without these guys, none of this would be possible. A sincere thank you to each and every one of you. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider doing so. You'll find me at DistroTube over on Patreon. All right, guys. Peace.